Okay, we're away. And
That's it. Cool.
yeah, so our discussion, our reason for coming together tonight is talking about the psychology of chasing down a dream in creative industries. Did you want to introduce yourself first, or?
Yeah, Ken. Yeah. So, my name is Baden Lloyd. I work as Cora Creations. So I've basically been open for 7 months. It's been a hobby business, and it's still working full time. Just trying to balance everything to see if it's all going to work, but it's starting to really take off.
Yeah.
I make cool rustic artworks out of corrugated iron mostly, and also sculptures out of scrap metal and wood, whatever we can find and people bring in to create something for their property or farm.
So you do
So,
work
yeah.
on commission? Is it work on commission a lot, or?
I've had a few commission pieces, only about 3 or 4 so far, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly just trying to create whatever I think's cool out of whatever I'd find. And what comes to my head when I look at the piece of metal and go, oh, I could make this or I could make that. So
Yeah.
trying to pick it out for the community, what I think the community would like at this stage.
Yeah. Super cool. It's yeah. So it's a bit of a movement, isn't it, to take something that's had a life previously and give it a new life, and find its way into people's homes as a treasured item.
It does actually. So I'll look at it, all the different pieces I find, and they've all got a history and a story themselves. Some of them are, close to 80 years old. One of the first pieces of art I made, actually picked up some scrap metal tin, which was brought to Australia in 1942 when the war was going on. It was made into a army shelter in Darwin, and then was removed and shipped down south to South Australia and became the first shearing shed on the property, the roof. So yeah, so that was pretty interesting.
Did you turn it into a piece of art?
Yes, I made some seahorses, seahorse sculptures and patterns for people to hang on their walls, because it had some crazy rustic patina.
Yeah.
It looked really cool, and you could either, both sides were different, so you could hang it either way, whichever one you preferred at your property.
Yeah.
It looked really good.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
yes.
We're now Lewis Gallery, but when we started the gallery, I had a business partner, and we started as Fraser Coast Art Gallery and Academy. Don't try and say it fast. It was a bit of a mouthful. But the gallery really got launched because I do a lot of community work, like looking after artists, teaching them about how to make their art into a business. And I was artists for 5 or 6 years, doing like regional gallery shows and putting my work in exhibitions, and I just kept seeing all the gaps in knowledge that artists had when getting their work ready for those kinds of things. So I started moving into like more curation and looking after artists and their business, and the gallery really came about as a vehicle to really support artists in the region in giving them more opportunities. And so now we after coronavirus, we're like literally just starting again. I haven't got any artists on contract anymore. It's literally my art on the walls at the moment, and Karen's over here behind me. So like our venture feels like it's on a brand new day. Like it doesn't look like it did at the start of the year, which is, it's amazing that a creative industry can keep just reinventing itself as it needs to, depending on sort of where the market is taking us, which is challenging but exciting.
That's correct.
Yeah. So let's dig into a little bit about what you and I wanted to talk to each other was really about like the psychology behind what we do. And one of the questions that we had for each other was how and when did you know it was time for you to start a gallery versus just working away on your artwork. So when did that peak for you? When did that question cement into going, I need to turn this into a bricks and mortar operation?
A while ago, I was working from home for about 2 years, and my general work, day-to-day work, changed. The business I was working for went downhill, and it was pushing towards redundancy. So I've looked at it and gone, well, what am I going to do from here? Do I stay in the industry and continue on to another company, or do I use the money from a redundancy package and have a go, basically? Rent a space, put some more time and effort into it, and open it up to the public, because before that I was just doing markets and stalls around the community. I had a lot of interest. Everyone kept asking me, where can we come and see art? So I started that. We put 3.5 months worth of effort into building it inside a shed, so that there was a gallery plus a workshop area. Also talked to a few other people, other dads that have been hobbying at home in their sheds, and invited them to come and display their art as well. So like, they didn't have any avenue. They were doing markets and that as well. Yeah. So I've got 5 now that display in the shop, and they're loving it. They get a little bit more here and a little bit more there, and always get the same questions when they're at markets. And 2 of them have come over and spent a day up here. We advertised them being here as a guest for the day, and they brought their friends up and built more of a business for me and themselves.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. And now to the point where I've got to make a decision. I haven't got enough time to do both. And the little small galleries is probably hurting for customers, because the time frames aren't getting developed, or ticking off the right time when the customer wants it.
Yeah, so but the mentality is that what you were doing was a business venture, not just a creative venture.
No, that's right. It was. Yeah, it basically is. I could still look at it as my creative time. So, and the business comes along with it. But now I've got to start seriously thinking about promoting it and doing it correctly, and trying to get some more ideas and help to make sure it gets off the ground. Hopefully I'll move into, I've always wanted to move into a bigger place somewhere, have a proper gallery, a little cafe with coffees and stuff going on, so people can come and enjoy it all at the same time.
Yeah, it's a big picture view. I guess we were...
Yeah, you got to keep...
Same idea is going, I was working out of home, and quite literally my kids on their dining table were having big art sculptures, like while they're eating their dinner in and around it. And it was like, how do you continue to maintain this creative endeavor, manage life, and get your work out to the people? And the gallery is the most natural fit for that. But I think that was the biggest and the hardest shift that had to be made, is that when you want to be a creative person who reaches the people, you have to shift from being just creative to also putting on a business hat, and then learning how to manage all those tools to reach people, to share what you do and invite them into your space. And it's not as simple as just saying, I'm going to rent a building and put art on the walls. There's so much more that comes with that idea of the gallery, and but the psychology behind it, like, where I was in that space, I was like, if I don't do that, I can say, I don't really want to be in creative industries. I just want to be a hobbyist. If I don't shift to that gallery space and the bricks and the mortar and the wires and the hanging and the inviting other artists in, and putting on that business hat, then it's like, are you really wanting to participate in creative industries and getting your art out to people? So for me, it was that, are you going to do it or are you not mentality that actually got the building open.
Yep. Yeah, exactly the same. I had issues with that much work at home that I end up having to double handle shift stuff around, and things were getting damaged.
Yeah.
To get it out to customers. So that's where the decision's made. Like, we have to make a place to have it displayed so it doesn't get damaged, and still be able to create some stuff as well.
Did you cop much negativity around that idea? Like when you started talking to your family and friends and going, look, where my heart is really at is being a creative person, and I want to get my product out to people. I'm going to open a gallery. Did you cop much flack around that idea? Do you cop much negativity around the idea of being in creative industries?
Not really. I had a little bit of negativity, but most of the friends and family around me have known me for a long time anyway. From starting painting on canvas as well, and then changing to metal sculptures. They were really supportive, actually. Had a lot of friends and family come and try and help get it set up as well, and pop in every now and then and help in some way. Even my dad, who's now retired, has started tinkering the shed and helped make small sculptures and other things that he's got laying around his farm to put up here and sell as well. So some of my friends were skeptical.
Yeah.
They didn't know it would last, because they said, well, you're really probably not going to make enough money out of it, because lots of people do that, and it's a very hard business to get into. But mostly supportive.
Yeah. And that's the big conversations that we've been having in recent weeks about finding the people to surround you who think like you do, who support what you do and encourage and get involved. That herd mentality where it goes, if you're doing this, I'm going to encourage you 100%. But when you did have those friends who were skeptics, and I came up against that too, there were people going, oh, art, money, how are you going to make that all work? Like, how did you handle that negativity? Like, what's the thought process? What sort of things were you telling yourself that said, this is still a good thing to do, and I'm going to do it and give it my all, and whatever the outcome, I'm in it?
Probably from starting at home, and making a few sculptures and artwork, actually seeing the customers enjoy it, and buying it, and really attaching themselves to either parts of the sculpture or grandma's jute shed from the corrugated iron. Gave you a self-fulfillment, and I always remember that. And every time some negative comes through, I keep thinking back to those moments, and and then you put your prices on it and you think, I don't know if I'll leave it. You always judge yourself. I don't know if anyone's ever going to buy this. I don't know why I built it. And then someone walks in with a massive smile on their face, just pulls out the wallet and goes, I'm taking that right now. And you go, what? and it happens. And you're like, so, and lots of my friends who were skeptical are amazed. They go, wow, okay, maybe you're onto something.
So there's that feeling that you can fall back on. And I guess because we have had our critics for what we're doing here, because we kind of butt up against the market and challenge the status quo, that there's, artists who get told work for exposure, you should be grateful for this opportunity, and artists not getting paid for the incredible work that they're doing, or really being celebrated. And the vision that we had around this place is that any artist who worked with us would feel like a rock star. We really wanted them to feel like they were center staged and valued and worthy. And I would advocate for them against the industry that was telling them that they were less than, or that they had to pay for their opportunities or work for exposure, or all those horrible things that artists always have to listen to when they're building their careers. So we stood on a few toes. We've stood on a few toes along the way, and we've challenged a few people. But and that's tough too, when people come at you and say you're too aggressive, you're too ambitious, you're too all this and the other thing, and when are you going to think about the money in the bottom line? And I'm like you, I keep thinking back to what it means to be a creative person, and what that drive is like. You know, we've had it since we were children. I don't know if you're like me, but I've been creating since I was little. And I went out and did the day job. I joined the military, and then I worked in a bank. And then, I got to my mid-30s and I went, creative industries is where I'm at. I want to get back to creating. And it was never, is this career going to pay me enough? And the skeptics be damned, I'm in it and just going to keep working and keep getting back to, whenever the negativity gets to feel too much, remembering what it feels like to create something and have somebody engage with that and let that feeling carry you forward, and let the dialogue be something positive and not just let all that criticism and negativity weigh you down, because you can come up against a lot of it in creative industry. It can be.
You can, and a lot of galleries and shops can take a big advantage from artists that are trying to start up, and pretty much rip them off blind.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very challenging. So,
Yeah.
like yourself, I've started here in the five artists I've got hanging stuff in the walls and placing stuff around here. I take no commission from them.
Yeah.
I charge them a small monthly rent just so they can feel the enjoyment when people come in and buy something. And if they happen to be in the shop when it happens, they're pretty blown away. They're like excited, going, "Wow!"
Yeah.
And just trying to, like I say, uplift it, a little family going, rather than at the community, rather than just picking up and taking it all for yourself.
Exactly. Instead of taking artists and going, well, you go away and do all that work creating, which can take, like, to create a beautiful piece of art can take months, it takes money, it takes time, energy, creativity, all of those things that artists put into making work. And then they hit the industry, and the industry goes, and now you have to pay us for us to put your work up. It's like, it was such a shock to me coming out of college and coming out of uni, that I had to still, with all that achievement and effort and time and talent and whatever, that the industry still said to me, now you've got to pay us. You can work for exposure, or you can pay for this opportunity, but we're not just going to bring you in and embrace you because you're talented. And we really fought to shift mentalities around that. And, I advocate for artists wherever I can with the industry, going, no, this person deserves you to pay them because you want to put their art on their walls, and start to shift really the way artists are treated in their own industry when they are the heart of it. It's the journey's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It's going to be a very tough one with some, like the well-known galleries that do charge a lot for you to display in their galleries. We do have a few in South Australia here that are very community-based.
Yeah.
So they'll actually bring you in and support you. They don't charge pretty much nothing at all.
Yeah.
Which is really great. But
Yeah.
like I said before, when you've got the new artists that come out and they actually don't know what value their artwork is worth, and people can take massive advantage of it. Just to see expressions on their face when you go, oh, what price point do you want to put on it? And they say a number, and you go, come on, how much effort you put into it? Let's put a decent price on it. And then someone walks in, doesn't blink an eye.
And pays.
It's really, it pays it straight up, and it really appreciates the work and effort they put in, rather than getting a negative result.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a tough thing for artists, isn't it? Is like walking into the industry and going, here's what I've made. Here's what my skill level is. I've arrived. What's my art worth? How much should I put on this? And my response to them always is that there's two ways to price. It's like, do you want to sell it quickly, or do you want to get what it's worth? And like in the industry, there's art in this town moves at this price, like yours will move at this price, and this is where you can sell it quickly. But if I think that there's a little more substance there and we dig into what they've done and where they've been, you know, we can push for that little bit more for them and advocate their story, not just their art as well. And I think there's a lot to be said to sharing, you know, what goes on behind the scenes and letting people know how much effort is going into these people creating what they're creating and then why they put the price tags on. So it's not just educating the artists that their art is worth something, but educating our public as well as to what artists actually go through to create the bodies of work that they do, and get some, you know, public programming and get galleries talking about those kinds of things and let artists feel like rock stars for a little bit, at how much they do and what it takes to achieve those results. It's a big thing.
Yes, it is a massively big thing. Um, Working with a couple of artists that show here to actually put their feeling and emotion into their piece of art, to where they're really excited and happy what they've created, and then you put the price, like you said, it's a better piece. They're really engaged with it, and even myself, if I've put a lot of effort and emotion in, for some reason I really enjoyed it, that's the first piece that moves, even that, no matter what the price point is.
Yeah.
So and they love it when that happens. But you can get in a rut of creating pieces for the community just because, like, you need to get moving or money through the shop, and they do move. But that one piece that you put the effort into seems to really hit home.
And that's a big thing, that you talk about, is the energy that that happens with an artwork, and you know, because mainly I deal with 2D artwork. It's paintings and drawings, and
Mm-hmm.
it's particularly, I tell my young artists that you can be someone who can paint and you can be someone who can draw, but that doesn't make you an artist. What really makes you an artist is when you can deliver your heart and your soul, and we can feel the energy when we're standing with your artwork, with your painting, with your drawing, and really figuring out what it is they want to say, not just what they can do, is something we encourage relentlessly with our young artists who come through our classes. Is and not to be, I mean, there's definitely a market to create for commercial art, but it's, you know, you can still make that art that has your heart and soul in it, that's above that commercial push. That's still going to move, it's still going to sell, because it's going to resonate with somebody somewhere, because that heart and soul connection's in it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a piece of art, one of my first pieces I made, which is basically a blue swimmer crab claw. So it was half a crab on a piece of corrugated iron. Had it hanging on the wall for 2 years. Displayed it at markets and galleries for a while. And then one person walked in and it reminded him of a childhood book that him and his wife used to read to the kids many years ago, and walked out with it and hung it in his pergola at the back where his bar was.
Yeah.
Just as a memory sake. So,
Yeah.
it's
Pride, isn't
really
it?
good.
It's a lovely
Yeah.
life if someone connects with you that way. But one of the other things we talked about is possible things that are of interest to artists, is that we have these highs and these lows, that artists can have this high tide of really having great, incredible creative energy. And then there's this other thing that's kind of like a low tide where they feel like they've drained of all their energy. Do you, working with creators in your studio and reflections on your own process, do you feel like you have that, like these really high creative times and then these really low moments where you can't create for the life of you?
Definitely. Some days will be, like I said, a massive high. You walk in, you've got an idea in your head and everything will flow.
Yeah.
Seems to flow into place. And other days, it doesn't matter what you kick around, what you look for, it just doesn't seem to work.
Yeah.
Some of those days will leave off to a more commercial product,
Yeah.
and knock over a few orders that need to be done. Or I might invite one of the other artists up.
It becomes very tradesman-like on those days, doesn't it? Like, I'll do what I have to.
Yeah, it does. You do start prepping stuff, and in the back of your mind, you're still looking for that piece or that design to make the start. But yeah, you end up just prepping some other materials and stuff like that. Or I'll bring one of the other artists in on a mental block day. I'll give them a call, and they'll come up, and then we'll just have a chat and a talk. And while you're talking, things happen,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're off and running, and you're bouncing off each other.
Yeah.
Which
And
is
it
good.
creates a kind of a flow state, doesn't it? It's like when you get on the roll and that idea happens, and it's like time just disappears. You go, here's the idea, here's the energy, I'm in it 100%. And the house could be burning down around you, but you're in your flow zone. You're in that state where creativity just rattles on through. And
Yes.
it's something that I love to share with people who are creative, and to try and describe that state that artists go through. And it's a special thing that not everybody experiences, what it's like to be in that state of flow where creativity moves. It's like it moves through you, it's not from picking up the tools or it's not a physical thing that you do that makes it happen. It's like it comes from outside of you and moves through you. Would you relate to that?
Yeah, I'll put it as a creative jigsaw puzzle, basically. You've got the picture up in your head, and you're looking at the end result,
Yeah.
and things just flow from directions, and you can just put it together and create either a 3D sculpture or a painting. When I was painting, we would do the same things. You don't think about what colour you need to put on the canvas next. You just grab a tube and mix, and it's basically goes on the canvas exactly how it is in your brain.
Yeah.
If you sit there and try and think for too long, or you're not in that focus, you can't find the right brush, you can't find the right piece of paint, you can't find the right bit of metal.
Yeah. You may as well.
It just goes blank.
It's like it's an instinct, isn't it? You just know, if I pick up this tube of paint and this brush, it's going to work. It just happens. It's almost an instinctive state. And I always go, when I'm creating in that flow state where it's like, it feels like the information comes from somewhere else, the work I create in that space just sings so much better than when I sit there and go, right, I'm going to now pick up blue paint, and blue paint is going to go there, and I'm going to make that mark. It just doesn't seem to on me like when I'm in that mindset.
Yes. So you ever had the processes? Some of the times I find the most tiring day, or when you have a big brain fade, to go to your special spot in your gallery or your studio, and just start creating, and your whole body uplifts, your mind changes,
Yeah.
and then you go to and start creating something. You get a bounce of energy. Is
Yeah.
that something that happens quite
Yeah.
often for you as
Yeah.
well?
It's like you want to create, but you're just waiting for that state to hit. And it's like once you get into that space, like I said, the house could be burning down.
Yeah.
I'm creating, and that's all that's happening. But the other thing I do to sort of help that state, if I feel like I've got mental block or just can't get into a rhythm, is I meditate. I try and just block all the noise out, because and you'll probably relate, running a gallery, like I'm running lists all the time. It's like, have I done this? Have I done that? Have I done the other thing? Are we ticking all the boxes as far as the business is concerned? And then to be able to let all those lists go and just be in a state of creating actually feels like you've got to flick a few switches off. And I relate to, there's a book called Living with the Creative Mind, and I can't think of the authors off the top of my head, but I'll definitely get them. And I saw them present at Arts Ablaze. I went to a big conference down at Corelbin late last year. Or was it this year? I don't even know. Time's just gone so fast. But these guys were really talking about how the creative brain fires differently. Like, and science is now looking at how I say normal, but a brain that is not wired like ours, it lines up thoughts one after the other like this, and they present one after the other. Where is a creative brain will have like them firing like this all the time, and it's like when we get into that flow state is when we're able to connect it all and deliver it. But it's like to get there, I have to stop all the lists of all the things I have to do and go, right, I need to bring this together and deliver it so I can get it out and down and create something. Because if it stays up here, I can't function. I need to create something to feel like I've got that sense of balance. Are you a bit like that? You need to make something?
Yes. Oh, on general occasions, yes. My wife always comments to me when she says, "I think you're in the mood to go create something," to say your head's going off like a spark plug.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah,
don't worry about what's happening here, housework or whatever. You need to go to the shed, go and just make something. And I'll come back, I'll make something crazy.
yeah.
She'll ring me at, could be 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Are you coming home now? I was like, oh, I'm nearly finished. You missed everything. Like, you lose time.
Last words of every I'll say, oh, I'm nearly finished.
Finished. It's 4 hours later.
Nearly finished.
Exactly. So, yeah, but definitely to get it out. I've never thought about that like that before.
Yeah.
I've personally never meditated. I've never really investigated it. But thinking back of it now, I do surf a lot.
Yeah.
And I'll sit on the beach for at least half an hour before I go out, and
Yeah.
maybe even 20 minutes or half an hour when I come in, and just stare at the ocean. So it's probably my form of meditation without even realizing.
Well, that's it. It's like when you look at what meditation is, really, it's just an opportunity to still your mind and go, I'm just going to focus and decompress and I guess there's degrees of anything, and you can meditate like a Buddhist monk for 12 months and not speak to anyone, and that's this level of meditation. Or you can take 20 minutes to sit on the beach and look at the waves and focus on something other than all the lists that you're running in your head about everything that you've got to do. And that's another way to do it. And I think it's a valuable thing for creatives to do, to just stop. Because like they say in this book, and science is proving it, that our minds trigger like this, to slow them down, to get them to a point where we can go, all right, I'm calm and focused. That's when we get into that flow state where creativity really takes hold. So I would fully say, when you're sitting on that beach and you're taking that 20 minutes just to look at the ocean, why wouldn't you consider that a form of meditating? Because it's that decompressed state.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it, and I was reflecting on it today.
Yeah.
There is actually no thoughts there. I just feel the sun, smell the salt, breeze, and that's about it. The sand at your feet.
Yeah.
That's it.
But it gives you that time out from the day, from all the things you've got to do.
It's my best board meeting ever, generally.
Oh. So, one of the other things I wanted to know: do you listen to a lot of motivational speakers? Like, thinking about the dialogues that we run in our heads. I know a lot of creatives who I meet for the first time. They run a lot of disempowering dialogue. I don't think my work's very good. I'm not sure I'm ready for a gallery. There's a lot of it's disempowering is the only way I can describe it. And I spend a lot of time with artists trying to help build courage. I teach a lot about resilience and grit, and that you do face a lot of, you can face a lot of rejection in the industry that can sting a lot. But then, not every artwork is right for every opportunity. And I try really hard to build a sense of worthiness in creative endeavors. That's been built in me by listening to a lot of motivational speakers. Like I put that stuff, instead of listening to music, I'm listening to people feed me really great stuff to think about. Is that something you take on board as well?
Generally, no. No, I haven't. I haven't listened to a lot of motivated speakers.
Yeah.
I pick up most of my motivation from family, other people I work with around me. I spend a lot of time coaching kids in different sports, and motivating them and trying to uplift them.
Yep.
So I've got a bit of a pinpoint on myself to keep myself motivated. Haven't been very successful in the last 12 months because things have been going all over the place. But it's something I should look into a bit more. With the
You run dialogue in your head, like if you could pinpoint the things that you tell yourself that keeps you going, um, like are you able to give yourself encouragement? Are you able to give yourself worth? And where do you think that kind of positive dialogue comes from when we see so many in the industry who really feel disempowered? Do you know what I'm trying to get at? Is like there's a lot of self-talk that I hear from a lot of creatives that don't feel like they're worthy to be putting their pictures out for people to enjoy. But you've managed to get yourself a gallery. You sell your work to people. How did you come up with the self-dialogue that gives you enough confidence to share that with people? Is it how you were raised? Is there something you tell yourself? Where does that confidence come from to set up a gallery and share your work with people?
I'm not sure exactly where it comes from.
Yeah,
I had a rough childhood,
yeah,
but I picked a abnormal art structure with corrugated iron.
yeah,
So, and there's not a much of that around where it's get creative, actually turning corrugated iron into pretty much canvas artwork with all different colours and paintings. So I keep pinpointing it back to that because everyone's really interested, and keen to see more.
yeah,
So it's a little tiny little niche.
yeah,
Um, and then I've had encouragement from other people and other galleries and other art teachers and stuff in the past. I have a few little pinpoint things I've had written around in my gallery, in my shed, in my studio, from other artists and sayings and that, just to keep me pepped up, basically.
So you
Have
do
my little quiet
motivation.
space.
Like there'll be things that are written around your space that encourage you to think positively. Can't even speak it. Think positively.
Yeah, yeah. I have a few artist sayings and some local artists, favorite ones that have took me under their wing and taught me some stuff.
Yeah,
So I have those around, which
yeah,
when I'm in a down mood, all I have to do is turn around, look up, and generally I'll put it in a spot where I'm always staring at something because I'm upset or it's not working, and it'll be right in front of my face and just look at it.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think that
Do
that's
a little turn around.
we're doing the same thing. Yours is a written thing, and mine is
Yeah,
people talking in my ear telling me I can do this. I
yeah.
wonder, have you felt the sting of the art industry at all? Like, because it sounds to me like your experience has been pretty positive and supportive along the way. Have you felt the sting of the art industry where they've gone, actually, what you're doing's no good. We don't want to know. You're not the right fit for us. Or have you had any of that negativity come your way?
Yes, yes, with some different shops.
Yeah. And
When I first started getting out there and taking it.
yeah.
Sorry,
How
missed
did
that one.
you do that?
Well, I'm just next, pretty much.
Yeah.
Move on. Obviously, they're not the right person for my art, or either the right customer, or the right shop, or the right gallery, to blend in with what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And then the next yes, and then happy smiles around the corner. So just got to keep looking.
Yeah. So that's that thing, isn't it? It's that idea that not every opportunity is right for every artist. It doesn't mean that your artwork's not good. It doesn't mean that you're not capable. It's just some galleries, some shops have a different motive, have a different ethos. They're just not looking for what you're doing, but it doesn't mean that their no should be a no to your creative career. And I guess what's, we really try to encourage here is that thick skin and that resilience, and that very thing that you've just suggested is that, oh, well, you said no, but I know the next person is, they're more than likely going to say yes. I'm going to go and ask them, and keeping that really strong belief in what you're doing, and that there's a yes in the pipeline for you. So I guess what I'm curious about, and I guess what I'm trying to get to the bones of artists who've developed that resilience is what's the self-talk? It goes, where does that level of confidence and resilience birth, where it can get to a point where you can handle the rejections with such grace?
It's a very tricky question.
Tricky question. But the
it is.
Like, helping artists get through this psychology is a massive thing. And I think it's a massive thing in business as well, because, we can put a lot of effort into marketing or setting up an event for somebody or however, and it doesn't work, and we can take it personally. So I guess it's like trying to find, tangible things that we can share with other people, that we go, this is how we have developed resilience, even when something failed, when something went wrong. How have we found the grit to go, oh, well, I'll chase another opportunity?
Yes. So I'm not sure how to answer it. There is no failure. So fail, to me, in the back of my mind, fail is the first line of learning.
Yeah.
The first attempt in learning. Sorry. So in that, and then being a coach for young kids and teams, to just keep promoting, to try and try again, and you build yourself up. So I think that's built within me to do that.
Yeah.
And you just keep practicing, learning, and trying, and it will be successful. I've had to build it up over many years of sport myself to get to certain levels. And it's literally, it's in the mindset of where you want to be. So you can use as much equipment and as much design and ideas as you like. But if you don't put your mind in the right place, it's going to be very hard to get to that level.
Yeah.
So nothing really, for me itself, the little man in your head talking, sometimes you have to tell him to sit down or go to the pub and let your creative man walk in. Pretty much. So, but yeah, there's no actual words really that I've done. I work with the other guys as well, and pretty much exact same thing. Teach them to learn and learn and learn, and keep asking questions, and keep visiting people. The experiences from the markets, if you get in a market somewhere and 6,000 people walk through the gate, my expectation is that 20% is going to stop and be interested, 5% might engage, and 3% might buy something. So at the end of the day, if that happens and you sell enough, or double or triple your market store for the day, you've had an amazing day.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you saying is that there's a mindset that's been built up over a number of years, that you've built up through discipline and sharing it with others and talking the talk with other people. And as you've talked it with them, it's reinforced it with you. And then you've realistic expectations on the opportunities that you're fighting for. So it's like, I know that going to market, the expectation is not everyone who walks through the door is going to come and talk to me or even buy something. So it's exactly the kind of, I guess the kind of dirt that I'm trying to dig is going, what do you do? And it's like, it's that persistent self-taught that over a number of years and sharing it with other people, being around the right people, talking the same talk, that builds that mindset that says, this is where I'm going and this is how I get there. And you don't necessarily sit down and document it the other day, or this is what I said to myself today, this is how I got it. But over a number of years, you really cultivate that idea that this is how I roll, that I do think that this dream is worthy. I do think that I'm worthy. I do love creating. I do want to share, and it's a positive thing. And telling yourself all those really over a lengthy time, I think, is the key. It doesn't just shift overnight, does it? It's like you've got to keep feeding yourself that really good food, that really good talk, and surround yourself with people who think the same way to really have that shift in the mentality.
Yes, the most important part, I think, there, where you said, is the sharing and helping
Yeah.
others to get to that point where they can feel confident themselves and keep telling themselves over and over as well.
Yeah. So where is this heading in the future for you? Where are you taking this dream? When you dream, do you dream big, or where are we heading?
Dream big. Having my first, well, not my first, but my best exhibition that I can create with all different pieces of art in a massive gallery. We've got, 100, 200 people, me standing out the front, introducing myself, lights, music, all that sort of stuff, and blowing everyone away twice, because everyone loves the thing. And I've got some ideas coming up that transforms my art into nighttime, completely different. So I've done some canvas painting, acrylics paintings in the past as well, where you see different artwork panels, 3 different panels will make a picture. I've got a series in my home that only one's ever been really out there, but where those 3 panels are a picture, but you move them into a landscape and it creates another picture, completely different. So you can buy 2 pieces of art and have 4 pieces of art in your house. All you have to do is shift them to a different location. That's the big dreams there, is obviously getting up there an artist and having a nice gallery for myself. Like I said, a shop somewhere. And then helping other artists and helping other people get out there. That's the big picture. Small term, in a shed, having fun.
It's not a short race, is it? And
No, it's not.
I think what's really cool, and that I think is going to be great to share with other artists, is often when you say to artists, well, where are you going? What's the big picture? What's the dream? Are you dreaming big? They go, oh, and they can't tell you what the long term is. So I think it's really awesome that I can say, what's the big picture? And you go, you know what it is. You've already mentally created where you're going, so you can set that energy in motion towards getting there. And it's like, what's the dream? If you can dream it, you can do it, kind of thing. It's like, if you can visualize all the details of what that big picture looks like, the universe does its thing and it starts to shift things around you to make that happen. But what a lot of times that we find, and what we strike, and particularly in people who are struggling with that sense of confidence, is projecting that you can dream this dream and have the universe work with you to manifest it, and things will shift around you. And it's not like it'll happen tomorrow, but the fact that you can visualize all those details, like quite literally, you just told me, I was there with you. I can see your dream, the energy of that thing already exists. And now it's just the steps that will unfold in front of you to make it all happen. And I think that'll be it's a great example to share with other people, to go, look, I asked this guy, what's the big dream? And there it is in detail. You've got it there. Do you prescribe to a similar kind of thinking?
Yeah. So, and the hardest point about that would be actually believing that dream could happen. Could happen. It took me a long time to work that out, and now it's basically, if I'm coming back to the psychology of it before, you start having those down days and the mental blanks. I'll wake up one day and I'll just turn to the wife and say, I had that dream again last night, and bang, off we go, get in creative mode.
Yeah.
So, and sharing that with other people to keep focused in
Yeah.
the future as a big dream. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do with it?
Yeah.
Because you can get in the block of creating small pieces that you like or would like to build or sell to customers, because that's what the market directs. That's what the market wants or the community wants. And you just got to do that one or two pieces for yourself that's just out there that
Yeah.
no one's requesting, and that
That
lift again.
dream, and you're going, if this is where I'm headed, this is what I'm making, and not letting the reality of what's actually around you right now stop you from creating for that dream that you've created.
Yeah, that's correct. It's only, it could be one day or 1 month or a year away from you creating that first step that everybody enjoys or hits the market, and all of a sudden everybody wants to know who you are, where you are, and what are you doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
which is
that is it. It's setting that goal and getting, painting in your mind what you think that goal is, that dream big. If you could, if money's not an object, if your current circumstances they are no object, you just dream. Tell me what you want, and let's paint all the details of that picture and put it there in front of you. Guess what? Things start to change around you, around that energy of believing that your reality that exists around you right now is not going to stop you getting to where you want to go. It's such a big mind shift to ask people to embrace, because we're so conditioned to go, this is what's happening for me now. How can I possibly dream that big dream when, I've got this and I've got that and I've got all these reasons here why that dream is impossible. But, like I'm so inspired that I said, what's the big dream for you? And you just went, bang, this is where I'm going. This is what's happening. And, to be in that space with you is inspiring.
no, awesome. Thank you. Obviously you got to have that dream and that focus where you want to go. So my point right now is breaking that down backwards to find the steps to get there. The steps, and obviously, depending on which stairway you take, it might take you to the wrong direction to start with. You might have to come back and start again and move left, right, or central.
Yeah.
But you will find it. It will come. It will click together. And if, like I said before, if you put your emotion and energy into the right space when you're in the right space and create those steps, then it will move forward.
Yeah.
So what's the next steps and levels for the Lewis Gallery?
Gee, for us, it's been an interesting little ride, because coronavirus really, caught everybody by surprise. And I was probably 6 months away from being really savvy with our online stuff. And I've been really frank and been open with anyone who follows our community that I have something of a nervous breakdown. Like to be working the hours that I was working, and then to have it all stop on a dime and not know what to do. I've never been that person. I've always had the next 50 steps planned, and I'm on my way and I'm charging, I'm going, like my energy is always really full on and high, and I'm always the one with answers for everybody and planning this for you and planning that for that one. And all of a sudden it just stopped, and that cut off.
Handbrake.
It was like, and I equated it to, it's like driving a cruise ship and somebody turned off the engines, and it was like, how do you turn these suckers on again? I just can't turn them on again. And I just have no answers for what that was. And for probably 3 or 4 weeks, I just, I hid. I couldn't talk to people, couldn't answer the phone. My message bank was going off, and literally I'd just gone fully insular, couldn't function at all. And really it took listening to people like Kerwin Ray and people like the motivational speakers, I started turning them on again. And when I turned them on again, what I also did was I picked up my like a visual diary, and I started drawing. I drew a picture a day until my faculties returned, and then I got to the business of going, what does the gallery look like now? How do we move it forward? And just got to the business of reinventing. Because like you, I believe what I have is a really healthy relationship with failure. You know, it's happened enough in the things that I've done to go, it's not the end of the world if something falls over. What's important is, will you pick the ball back up again and continue? And it really did get to that point with me where I went, are you going to let this be the failure that stops you in your tracks? Or is this the failure? Are you going to lean into how comfortable you are? Are you going to learn? Are you going to grow? Are you going to reinvent? And, you know, it all happened around the same time that I'd signed up for the Nail It and Scale It. And literally just as the gallery was opening again, Nail It and Scale It arrived, and this whole new energy, and working with people like yourself, talking to the other people who were part of Nail It and Scale It, have just gone, you know what, get back on the horse, let's go. This is what you do. You love art, you love galleries, you love people, get out there and help people. So it was, we are going to, you know, our gallery looks different for the minute because I haven't put artists back on contract, but that's coming. That's coming. I'm, you know, like I've got a better mindset, a better plan, and I'll be, you know, welcoming artists back in the space really, really soon. But you know what's super cool? You know what I did that got me out of that funk space is I did a retrospective of my own work that hasn't been in galleries for years. I looked around and go, what can I hang on the walls? I can hang my own stuff on the walls. And to bring this back out and share it with people has been something I haven't done for years. So, you know, I think Lewis Gallery will still be a place that supports artists, will still bring art to the community and run programs that are for the community. But I'm also going to look after my creativity too, which is, you know, a really great space to be in that's been closed down for a few years. So exciting times ahead, I think.
Awesome. So yeah, I'd have picked up there that a little bit of self-worth came out when you found a painting and put your own pictures back up on the wall, which you probably wouldn't have seen on a wall for a long time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you didn't pick up a brush. I heard you were drawing, trying to get your creative mind back.
Yeah.
Something similar to that, pretty much similar to me with my general work as in my normal job, and having my gallery pretty much opening 3.5 months before it pretty much shut down.
Yeah.
I was like, give me a break. Like, we can't.
Right? Give me a break.
Just got made redundant, found a new job. My wife got made redundant. She found a new job. COVID come along. It's like, oh my goodness. And we started really focusing on togetherness with each other as well, and really trying to get each other's mindset right. Yeah. So we turned around and went pretty much exactly the same what you did, pulled the books and the book out. Well, if no one's coming, all we can do is get creative and make a whole heap of stock for when it does open again.
Yeah.
And which is good, and it changes all different insights of what you were thinking of designing and creating to just stuff that made you happy.
Yeah, right.
Which was really good.
Yeah.
You put more emotion into it.
Exactly. I actually, because one of the other things, I'm super interested in spirituality and psychology and the ether and all of those things. And I decided I'm going to draw a whole pack of tarot cards. Like, just went, well, what am I interested in? What do I like to do? And I don't care that anybody likes it or not. It's just something I wanted to do. And every day I drew a tarot card out, and I went, that's what I'm drawing today. And I literally, but like, I took the inspiration of the card and just drew my own version of it. But like you, it's the creativity became an old friend. it was like, I remember you, you're a safe place. This is me. This is where I feel balanced and grounded, and my husband and my kids, and they were all like, thank God she's got a pencil in her hand. It's the only thing keeping us sane. And it brought me back to ground zero in a way that I don't think anything else could have. When the rest of the world was falling down, it was like, I'm going to find my grounding here with a pencil and a paper and let that creativity just give me that path to walk forward when all the other paths look like they're closed. It was mentally, it was a lifesaver.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying about launching into online markets before.
Yeah.
How did you approach that, and what formats and what was the word I'm looking for? Platforms
Platforms.
did you work?
Well, you know what? To be honest, it was haphazard. I'm not as tech savvy as I could be, but I'm glad I've got the guru Karen, who works with me, because she's all over it. But we were really hit and miss with what we were doing. Like, social media would be going well, we'd get a whole heap of business and things would be going great, and then we take our foot off the pedal and go, just because we'd get so busy, and then we'd go, and then the social media marketing would fall away, and we'd go, geez, we've got to do that again. And there was not enough structure around what we were doing. We didn't really have something to hang our hat on as far as the platforms we were using. We were on Instagram, Facebook, and our YouTube was really terrible. And I knew I needed something, because it wasn't just me who needed it. It was the artists in the region needed to learn how to use things like Facebook ads. They're a tool that is a bit of a mystery. I would be promoting ads just like randomly and going, how is this working? How is this reaching people? And how is it converting? So I would go that social media was it was hit and miss and a bit of a mystery, and it was definitely something I needed to lift my game on and find out more about. And I'm not someone who'll, just stick my head in the sand and go, it's a problem, I'm not going to address it. It was something I was actively trying to work on and improve. And, doing Nail It and Scale It was quite simply, I need to learn how to do this. I need to make it effective. If I'm spending money on it, it has to work for me one way or another. And so I'm going to be completely honest and say my social media game up until this point has been really terrible. But we're really hoping that, in moving on in the future, that we do much better with it. How do you go? Do you like social media? Do you like using it as a networking tool?
Yes, I do, and very, very, very similar to yourself. I don't know enough about it. I keep looking at all sorts of stuff with the ads. To start with, I didn't even like the ads. It would annoy me if I'm trying to scroll Facebook and all these little ads popping up all the time. Like, why do I see these?
Yeah.
Then I started to learn a little bit, like micro, compared to what we discovered over the last week in the 3 days.
It was incredible.
1% of what I thought would be appropriate to do on Facebook. It was absolutely nothing there.
Yeah.
But the only way, because I was starting out and I didn't have a full time frame of how to run the business and run a full-time job plus a business on weekends, every time I did the little bit of Facebook promoting, and I would get an influx of customers, excited, and get a whole heap of orders, and that would keep me going for a month and a half.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, I've got to stop doing it because I haven't got the time now to actually create all this stuff that's being ordered. So, and one of the Kieran Ray, not Nail and Scale It meetings we actually had earlier in the year when we first go and chat to him, he was talking about one of the other guys that grabbed it all, went back to his company, implemented the whole lot, and then basically shut himself down because he didn't have the structure behind to be able to deliver.
Didn't know how to
So that was always in the back of my head. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, that's all I need to know at the moment.
I was
Put it out there, get a whole heap of customers, get their work done, and then do some more.
yeah.
Pretty
But
much. And
are you in a different mindset, ready to like scale what you're doing?
I am, because my whole mindset is changing in the way they're going to run the gallery, and be able to promote out to other businesses as well, and probably to other galleries as such as well. So more of a part-time, more of a full-time job. And if start working that into, I can start seriously thinking about making the other adjustments in my life. Today was stage one. I showed you the message where I've stepped down from a management role and gone back out with the workers and let some guys that I have trained for years step up and take over. So that'll take the mental stress, and hopefully the creativity will, and the tiredness will go away, and I can concentrate on what I need to concentrate and slowly build that and transition in a swap, basically.
And how do you feel about like being pushed into that it was new territory to me. It was where I wanted to go, but I didn't know how to do it properly. In writing things like ebooks, where we're sharing the knowledge that we've accrued in, you know, and I love sharing and I love helping, but to do that in such a, what's the word? Trying to get that wide reach of sharing the things that we've learned and that we can offer people following in our footsteps. How did you feel putting that into an ebook and going, here's where I get to pay a little bit back to the community with some content that you offer just from your experience?
I did some corrugated iron work, so I went back to my customers, some of the negative customers that would say, oh, that don't look very hard, I could do that. And I would turn around and say, please do, and bring it in to show me when you're finished and tell me how you did it and how long it takes to create. So my ebook was around that attitude. So I'd give enough information so that people could understand what the process was and how much emotion or technical side would be in it. And just made sure I left 20% of it out to discover their own issues, problems, and creativity to try and solve. So that my mindset was straight away.
Give that spark of information to start somebody else on a journey.
Yes, pretty much, and but not to give them the whole scope 100%, so they can absolutely create it perfectly straight away, because there's a lot of learning in the background. You know, some of the most simplest things you can see are probably the most challenging and difficult to recreate. And because it can be, you know, weeks or months or years of experience and trial and error to get it to that point. Someone look at it and go, that's not too hard, I can see how it's constructed. But to get it to that point and replicate it is a very challenging thing to do. I've done a couple of courses with other sculptures, and they'll teach you the same sort of points, 20 years worth of experience to get you to a certain point, and they'll let you learn the rest of it. And the only way to be really good at that is to learn that last little piece and master it yourself. You'll have a different idea.
You know what? On the same line, it's something I say to artists all the time. There's this big fear that if they really put their work out on social media and share information about what they do and how they do it, that somebody else is going to take their idea, or you know, there's a big fear around, this is mine, I don't want to share it, you know. And if I put it on social media, someone's going to take that off me. And I go, nobody's ever going to do you like you do you, because nobody else has done the years of experience. They don't have the ideas, they don't have the dedication to creating what you created in the moment you created it. But what we can do is give people a foundation with which to launch their creativity and go, I've made this, these are the skills I've used, this is how I came to be. Now you go away and put you all over that. Are you open to teaching people how you do what you do?
Absolutely, and that's part of the next steps of the gallery is actually to have some courses
Yeah.
and get some more uh, guys and girls out of their houses that are hobbying and get them inspired to make some more art and some more creative pieces.
Yeah.
No matter what avenue they need, just give them the basics, a few steps to help
Yeah.
to create it there. And like you said, that they'll find the same piece of metal or the same piece of tin or the same color of paint and do something completely different with it that I
Yeah.
hadn't thought of,
Yeah.
or and it'll come an amazing result.
Mm. Yeah, we give people, and it's one of the big things that our school teachers. I say to them, you learn the rules so you can break them like an artist. So every time they come into a class, I teach an element and a principle of art making. So, like for example, this week we're learning how to use line in a drawing to show movement. So we've got an element and a principle, and we look at artwork from history, and we go, this is how this artist did it, this is how that artist did it, and show them a gazillion different pictures. And then go, right, here's how you do the technique. And we teach something that's very repetitive for each of them. And then it's like, now you go away and you go break that rule. You go do something super creative with it that I haven't thought to teach you, that says it's got you all over it, that I can see you know what I'm talking about, but it's got you all over it. And we really push that idea that, yeah, there's fundamentals, and we will teach fundamentals all day, but let's get your passion and your creativity and your imagination. Let's light that stuff on fire and see what you can do. It's yeah, I'm big on sharing skills and then seeing what people will do with them.
Do you like seeing that light bulb come on to that person that you're trying to explain and teach?
Yeah, I love it. Particularly the kids. Adults are a much harder sell, you know, and it's like I'm an animated person, like the hands are always going and I'm moving, and I don't mind like really getting engaged in the moment and losing myself in that teaching. And then you know, pushing past the first idea, going, all right, I've taught you all how to draw the same way. Now I don't want to see anybody draw the same thing. Like every idea should be unique. If we're really putting ourselves into it, every idea should be unique. And watching kids, they'll sit there and they'll sit, and then you just see the spark drop. You go, oh, here they go. And then they just, every single one of them will just dig this piece of imagination out that they go, all right, I know how to do this. I've got everything in my toolbox that I need to create what I want to create. But now here it is. Here's my idea. Here's my big spark of creativity. What do you think? And watching them really embrace that their work looks different to other people, where we're so told in the rest of society that we should all be the same. You know, you wear the same uniform, and if you don't look like this person, then there's something wrong with you. If you don't think that way, there's something wrong with you. Whereas artists, we need to celebrate that we're different and that everybody will create something different. And if your work looks different to everybody else's, you get the gold star. It's pushing that idea that our individuality is something to celebrate and not go, you know, like somebody's going to take what I'm going to do, because no, they're not. They're going to do them, and they're going to take the skill for sure, share skill and share technique as long as the day is, but let people then run with it and see what they can create, because that's the only way we're going to get new and interesting art, is that we teach skills and let people create. So
Absolutely.
I roll with that. That's my passion point. It is my passion point in letting artists just, you know, be as creative as they can be and stamping their heart and soul into what they're doing.
It is good to watch the start point and the flow and just stand back and enjoy somebody else getting to the moment.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It makes me happy. I like it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's like the you know, after you spend the day, because my kids' classes start at 4:00, and after I spend the day doing all the admin and managing all the gallery and whatnot, to go and spend that hour and a half up there making art with kids, it's like the I don't know, it's like the cherry on top of the ice cream. It just is that bit that makes your day sweet. watching them just unleash their creativity. And there's a little bit of gold in them in their hills. So I really do dig that process. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it resonates to yourself that you haven't really grown up either, and you just want to enjoy it.
Yeah, basically I'm just a big kid.
True.
Well, we have been talking for a good hour or so, which is fantastic, and I hope we get to do this again. I think there's a lot as our journeys start to progress. We can keep digging into, you know, how your journey moves forward and how mine moves forward, and hopefully we'll be coming back to each other and going, I'm smashing that social media game, that I understand it and I'm managing it properly, and that we can. You know, really start to share this thing that we love with more and more people.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, when you talk on something that's passionate, you realise the time does fly. So I didn't realise it was that long already. But yes.
Yeah, it's a good chat. So if you feel like we've covered everything, is there anything else that you wanted to cover while we're chatting?
Probably not at the moment. It's more of the other things that I need to talk about is probably deliveries and movement of art.
Yeah.
In postage or from state to state or country to country, whichever way, without massive expensive costs or insurance things. And are they going to be happy when it's delivered? It's not quite what they want. From obviously taking off from your gallery or my gallery to be delivered to somewhere on site, like with the coronavirus at the moment, like how to do that online and still be able to get the best result.
Because it's expensive to do that. It's
It is.
like opening up this global world is one thing, but then when somebody says, hey, I want to buy that sculpture and you need to send it to Alaska, you know, like the cost of the postage is more than the cost of the artwork, generally speaking. And then on top of that, you're going, I need to create this thing to keep it safe, and you got the cost of all that. And it's, oh look, I'm yet to come up with a magic answer on this, other than how we work it in the gallery and how we recommend artists work is to price their paintings as if they're going to their worst destination. So take into account what it's going to cost to ship and insure and package, and get that, speak to your courier and price it out for your worst destination and build that into the price that you're putting it online for. We've found there's more success when a customer can just look at the price and not get the fright of the shipping. So if you've already built that price into what's going up online, and that takes a heap of confidence to go, I'm gonna ballpark this at this. Now, generally, we back that price off. We go, this is what it's worth plus shipping included, but we back the price off to a mid price, and we go, if I sell it to this destination, I might take a little loss of this on what I actually wanted, but if I sell it to this place, I might take a little win of where it's going. But your customer's not getting when they purchase it for what they think it's the artwork's worth, but then the shipping is double that again. So we kind of hit a point, and I go, what's your worst case scenario? How much are you prepared to lose on your shipping to have your artwork sold? And that's the reality of art in the modern world going global, is that getting it there is a non-negotiable, and building that into your price, taking a bit off the worst case scenario, is kind of where we've found our mid-range.
It's intriguing for me because I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
My first discovery of that 5 pieces of art was basically discussed to be purchased online for me to deliver in America, and I got completely scared about it and pulled out of the deal because I didn't know, or wasn't happy to, and the price would have went through the roof, and my price point was what I thought it was worth without considering any sort of delivery. So that is a very good technical and helpful scenario that you've worked with.
Yeah, and they're Pack and Send are really good. I don't know if that's an Adelaide company or if they're. I'm pretty sure they're everywhere.
Yeah, they
But
are.
they are really good, and they've looked after artwork really well. I've not had any horror stories about what they do, and their prices are quite reasonable. But then there's also companies who specialise in moving art, and they'll do the crates and everything. Depending on how fragile your sculptures and your pictures actually are, is how far you want to push that. Now, Pack and Send will let you do all the packing yourself, or they'll do it for you. So you can go to all that trouble and put it all together and pack it nice and neat so you feel super confident. But some of the art shippers, they insist on doing the packing themselves and things like that to make sure that it gets there in one piece. So I guess it really boils down to how much wiggle room and how much you want to back yourself on putting that extra price on your shipping, and have that as your price and go, if it's going to be a little bit more because it goes over there, then I'll cop that on the chin, but I might take a win because it doesn't have to go as far. But we seem to get more confidence if you set the fixed price when you're dealing with your buyer, and they don't get that shock of, oh god, the shipping. Yeah.
Yeah. That's had a couple of those. So far that everyone has gone, okay, yeah, I'll pay that. And when I've actually looked at how much it would cost to get be delivered, I got shocked and went, uh-oh, now I've got to talk to the customer.
Yeah.
I didn't realise because I hadn't thought that far down the track. Yeah, and that was really good.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. No, it's look, it's something you're going to have to get used to in this global market that we're building. Work's going
Yeah,
on.
it is. It is. Um, I'm panicking about some sculptures because it's not the awkwardness of packing and sending. It's more weight. Some
Yeah,
of them are quite heavy and will either have to be hand delivered
yeah,
or courier delivered to
yeah.
somebody.
Fragile?
Um,
Are they
I
fragile?
have not really fragile because of most of my sculptures, bigger sculptures, other than bar a few,
Yeah.
um, are all solid. Like I shock test my strength is they get thrown around before, so make sure that when the customer doesn't get it, they don't break. For
Yes.
one thing,
Yeah. So they.
and they're built. Yeah, they're very robust, and they're built to pull apart basically, so you can pull them down in sections.
Oh,
So when
good.
the customer gets it, they get in sections, and they
Yeah.
can follow instructions to put it back together, or a little video might be sent to them in an
Oh,
email, or
because
to help put it back together.
my thought is if as long as it's robust, and the fact that you can break it down into those parts, is a company who makes really great cardboard crates. They're like
Mm-hmm.
they're nowhere near as strong as the wooden ones, but they're far more they're professional looking, and they're more robust than just packing it in a box. And they will actually build little foam inserts inside of it that fit around your sculpture itself. And they're pretty cost effective, and they look great when you send them, and they kind of unpack with they're great, and they can fold them back up if they want to move their sculpture again. They're really robust, but they're made out of cardboard. And
Okay.
I think Pack and Send may do them. If you ask them about cardboard crates versus they're creating a wooden crate, or feeling less confident with a cardboard box, yeah, they're a really good option. Yeah.
That's really good because I might have to do some through the NISI itself. I was talking to some other people in Queensland that run a different business with LED lighting, and some of my ideas were to put some lighting inside and let the glow come out through the sculptures. So I might have to use that fact for an example or a trial. Actually, post that sculpture to them and let them set it up the best way to get the feel of it, and then follow instructions for me to do the same
Yeah.
on the next ones at home, so they can just post the equipment down they can measure and yeah. So yeah, that's good. I'll be able to work out that hopefully in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. It's something that galleries are enjoying right now is these things that are like projected and digital shows and light shows. Like you go into any of the big contemporary galleries right now, you're bound to walk in a room that's dark and it's got lights happening somewhere. So it's like it's a really lovely movement that's happening in contemporary art, and I think you'd find a really you'd find happy spaces for people to exhibit that for you. I certainly would. I
Absolutely.
love things like that.
That's where my dream's at in the contemporary art with all sorts of lighting. We'll
Yeah,
go
yeah,
back to there.
absolutely. Yeah, go for it. It is definitely something that sort of, like I said, you can't go into any of the big ones without finding at least one room that's shut down and there's something that's lit up as a digital art and art that, what's the word I'm after? But illuminates. Yeah, art that illuminates.
Yes.
Yeah, is a movement that you can fully pursue and would be really interesting and gives you a point of difference from other people who are working in the sculptures that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, I'm blending with illuminating art. So pretty much the sculpture looks like a rustic sculpture of old metal, but you turn the lights off and all sorts of things happen.
Yeah.
Even change the actual the body of the art to something completely different because
Yeah.
the way it's been
With the
touched or
way the
painted or
lights move.
moved around. Sorry?
With the way the lights move, or just the sculpture itself move?
The sculpture itself may transform into something different.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example like maybe I'll build a metal sculpture of a wombat.
Yeah.
Then you'll see the wombat, you can pat the wombat. But then I turn the lights off and I've manipulated some colouring and some illuminating paint, and you can see it's a more like a meerkat picture, and everything else is sort of blacked off
Yeah.
in the actual creation itself. So
That's
things may actually change form.
yeah. That's super cool. It's one of the things I always say to artists is make your art interesting. If for yourself, when you walk into a gallery, the first thing you do is you scan the room. You look around and you wait for that interesting thing that goes, oh, I'll walk over there and investigate that thing more. And they say that most people only spend 0.3 of a second walking past everything else. And I'm kind of like when I make art and I advise other artists, I go, if I'm in a gallery with you, I'm going to steal your 30 seconds and I'm going to steal your 30 seconds and your 30 seconds, and they're going to stand with my piece for 10 minutes. Like, make your piece the most interesting thing in the room. And like what you're talking about to me is like I would walk in the room and go, what's going on there? Like it's, there's technical ability and there's skill and then there's interesting. If you can pull those three things together, then that grabs the attention of galleries and curators and visitors and all of those things. It ticks all the boxes. So I'm like, you can't wait to see how that comes together.
That would be really cool. And I probably learned that experience of self-worth from my own negativity, looking at someone else's art, scrap metal bent and twisted that was on the wall. And I've gone, I can do that. That's not really hard. And I know how much work's put into that.
Yeah.
But the intriguing little piece at the bottom, there was a little plaque at the bottom and says, you enjoy your art, come back at 7 p.m. I went, really? So I went off and had tea with the wife and came back. And when I come back, it was projected lights from a different angle. And that twisted art on the wall then turned into a beautiful city shadowscape of Melbourne.
Oh, fantastic.
By adding the light projection from the side.
Yeah.
You couldn't see it before, but when you came back and revisited it, it changed my whole brain set.
Yeah. To a point
of what he was trying to create.
You remember it today to the point where you share it with somebody else, which is, isn't that the goal, that people can walk away and go, oh, that piece of art that I saw, got to tell you about it. It was so fascinating, interesting. It intrigued me this way. And like you say, initially when you looked at it, it wasn't much, but that twist, it gives
Yeah.
it that whole new level of intrigue and interest. And I love that it didn't happen in the moment. It was like, you need to come back at 7 o'clock to figure out what's interesting. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool. So yeah, like the first impression, you don't always have the first impression of art. Sometimes you have to look at it 2 or 3 or 4 times over,
Yeah.
and from a different angle and go, oh, hang on, because there's obviously lots of creative artists out there that have recently been going around hanging all sorts of different objects
Yeah.
from the ceilings and stuff, and you look at it and go, there's a big mismatch. But if you went and stand at one point to view it, you'll see a picture, a sculpture, a face, something. And
Yes.
from that point of view, you go, wow,
Now it all comes
wow.
together.
Now I understand.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I could spend all day in contemporary art galleries just doing exactly that, going, what's there to discover? What's the story? What's the intrigue? What's going on behind it? And to be able to share with people that, you know, and it's something that we talk about a lot up here, that galleries can feel like an intimidating place for people. Like there's an invisible wall that you're not welcome here. That place is a mystery to me. The work you have to be intellectual to understand it and break it down and all that kind of thing. But when you actually can engage somebody with the stories behind the artwork, and you can give them the eye that we have of why galleries are so cool, and go, I looked at this piece of art and this was the story behind it, and this is how they put it together, and you can fill out the reason why the art exists. You just get this whole new market of people who suddenly go, art is for everyone and art is cool. Yeah, it's like when they start pulling stories apart from pieces of artwork and go, this is what they were thinking about and this is how they've interpreted it. And when that understanding, you see that penny drop, they're back for more. They go, galleries are bloody cool. But it's getting that out to people and going, this is why we love art and galleries so much. And come join us, it's fun.
Yes. And then you get the whole enjoyment from an artist's point of view, if you have to, or not have to, can witness those descriptions from people visiting.
Yeah.
And your stories in your head, how and why and what you did to create that, and
Yeah.
listening to their stories and go, wow, I never would have thought of that.
No.
That's
Yeah.
a different angle that I wasn't even looking at myself on
Yeah.
what I created, or
Yeah.
yourself, what you created, which
It's
is good. And it throws your mind space back into thinking of a different angle, and you might do something more creative in that way from a reaction from a different point of view from a piece you've done earlier.
absolutely. They can fully broaden your thinking, can't they? That's something I love to do when people come to visit the gallery, is just like, I'll give a curator's talk and walk them around and show them what's there and give, you know, some of the pieces they're interested in, give a bit of a backstory. But like listening to them go, oh, I like this piece. I'll go, what do you think? What do you think it's about? You know, and ask their reflection. What do you think the artist is talking about? And just, you know, I warm them up to that story though. I go, here's this artwork. This is how they've pulled it apart. This is what they like to do. This is how their story works. And then I'll go, well, what do you think of this one? What do you think they were trying to say here? And just how, like you say, is like their version of what they see versus what you were about to tell them can be so wildly different. But you go, yeah, I actually see what you're talking about. I can see that through that lens and have this whole new level of understanding. And then to pass that back to the artist and go, hey, we just had this, you know, visitor to the gallery. This is what they said about your artwork. What do you think about that? And it is that moment of gold where you can give to the artist that somebody saw something in their work that they didn't know was there, and it inspires them to something new and enticing, and they want to go back to the easel and go again. It's a beautiful thing to watch people really engage with art.
It is, and that possibly some of my self-worth from self-building is listening to that sort of stuff and changing my concept in my brain to what customers have said.
Yeah.
Specific piece, I made a piece of a sculpture for my own front yard, which I haven't finished renovating and finishing off yet. which had sat around for 2.5 years in a 3/4 state of nearly finished because I had a mental block on it and didn't quite need to finish it. And then my wife said, this time last year you went to a sculpture course. You learned all this stuff. This weekend is exactly the same weekend. You're shutting the doors and you're just doing your stuff. You get creative and do it. So I finished it off.
Yeah.
14 days to the dot after that, a lady walked in and bought it straight away.
Yeah.
And my vision was to sit in their front yard, maybe a little pond around it, and this was happening. And I said, well, I can change this and help that out for where it's posted in the garden.
Yeah.
And she goes, hell no, it's not going in the garden. It's going straight to the end of the dining room at the table inside in our little cove. I went, okay, all right. That's not exactly where I thought it would end up.
But she had a vision for what it was and where it was going. Yeah.
She knew exactly where it was as soon as she seen it.
When you talk, the other thing that's super beautiful, and I'm lucky to have it too, is that you say more than once that my wife encouraged me to go make art. And I'm lucky that I have that in my family too. But how many artists really struggle to have that person in their corner that goes, your art is a priority, go make it. Normally it's the other way around where they're going, can you get out of your studio and come back home and get that? How would you rate that support in your life to have somebody who goes, this is, I know how you value it and I'll value it equally with you and I'll encourage you there and you go make art. How do you rate that support?
I love it. I think really, technically, she just wants to sit back and read a book without being annoyed as well. So she sends me to the shed. But no, it's really, really, really enjoyable. She's obviously, we've been together a long time. So my first creative start, where we were in a beginning of a relationship, I was that right and that sort of person. As we moved into the marriage and got kids, then I changed my concept to make sure we had money and changed my routine, and now that's turned around and she's literally helping me get back out and settle the brain. But it is very encouraging, very encouraging.
Yeah.
That support.
I'm the same. I can't speak highly enough of the fact, my husband supports me 100% in what I do. He comes in here and, he'll make coffee and sweep the floor and paint the walls and whatever he needs to do to sort of, to help keep the place running. And then my eldest daughter, she's 27. She's got 3 kids of her own, but she babysits my 3 younger boys, like every afternoon, like they're there now. Like she feeds them dinner, make sure their uniforms are washed. She lets me be, I'm always there to send the kids to school in the morning. And I always, my youngest has got autism, so I have to be there for that routine. It's a pretty strict routine with him. So after I get the 3 of them to school, she's literally, I've got your back until you finish for the day. And generally I'll finish about 6 o'clock at night. So she's got dinner done and we're ready to go for the next day. And with that kind of support, you just go, I can't do what I would do. And if I am creating or wanted to make art, they all just go, do it, make, create, run the gallery, do what you got to do. And I just know that if I had people in my life who challenged it and didn't value it, I wouldn't and I couldn't, because it takes so much passion to do what we do. And without people passionate beside you, like having that right herd. I haven't had the right herd in business yet. I'm hoping to find that. I'm hoping to learn that more. But to have the right herd in family, and Karen, who's our coordinator, to have your vision so supported and to be allowed to dream so big. When I people ask me what my dream is, I'm like you. I can say I see myself on stage supporting people, telling them about how it is to grow an arts business and how important art is, and I can visualize the people in the crowd and what life looks like. That dream is so rock solid, and and I vocalize it with them, that they, if you ask them what mum's dream is, they could probably vocalize it too. It's just something that everybody's on board with. And I don't know that anyone could do what we're doing without those people in our corner going, you're not crazy. What you're doing it's valid, it's purposeful, and I know you'd be miserable if you were not on this journey. And you can't rate it high enough, I don't think.
No, you pinpointed it there. You'd be miserable. So they can feel the enjoyment, they can feel the love and the passion that you want to do, and they will pick it when you get that down or that mental block.
Yeah.
When you least expect it, there'll be a knock on the shoulder saying, "You know what you have to do, get, or I'll come and help and fix this and go create something, reset it."
Yeah, go make something and then come back to me as a human being.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. And I think it's good. It's really great to have these conversations very publicly, especially, like I said, in the light of seeing those psychologists at Arts Ablaze last year who were talking about that science is actually measuring creative brains against non-creative brains and going, we fire differently. And if we're not allowed to embrace that fact that our brains fire differently, we end up, and the rates of depression amongst creative people are so high. And it's because that embracing of how we are wired differently is not completely understood. And I think the more that we can make it normal for people, that creative people do not walk one foot in front of the other. It's just impossible. We have highs and we have lows, and our brains are like this. And if that's understood and embraced, I think creative industries and creative people will thrive, really thrive. And, hopefully the other creatives have the kinds of support that you and I get to enjoy with our families, knowing that it's not an option, it's a necessity for us to do what we do.
Absolutely. It's definitely a lifestyle and enjoyment. Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right. Well, we just racked up another half an hour just like that. So
very easily.
Fantastic to chat. It just feels like
Yes.
such an easy conversation, and that we're on a similar path, and like the next journey feels quite similar too in how we grow into our expanding our businesses and broadening and reaching more people, and would love to support you on your journey as you go, and hopefully we can stay in touch. And
Absolutely, yes. And hopefully everything moving forward, everything will open back up and start becoming a bit more normal.
Yeah.
So we should probably catch up for a chat and see what has changed. I don't know, 3 months or something, or 2 months, for a video chat, and then see what has expired from there and how things have been implemented and working. So, which would be great.
The other thing that I wanted to offer, and I think is super helpful, if you ever wanted to run goals past me that you've got, or things that you're working on, and you wanted to, how when you're the boss of your own business, no one really holds you accountable. If you wanted to say, I've got these goals and I want to achieve it by then, so you've got someone holding you accountable, and likewise,
Absolutely.
that would be, because we understand our creative industry and the kinds of goals that we set that we can hold each other accountable to. I'd like to offer that to you, and support you on your journey as you this unstoppable nail it and scale it ride that we're on.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'll definitely offer it back to you as well. So whatever the next goals will be, we'll have to sit down and think and put something together and make it happen. So it will be, yes, unstoppable.
Unstoppable. And look forward to seeing you face to face in April, which would be good. I'm excited to be on the same course, which would be great. Yeah.
That will be awesome, and I'm pretty sure we'll have lots of stories and things to talk about by that time. how things have changed.
You know what? Like one of the goals I set myself, and it was that, you know, I love the idea of K2 Elite, but I went, no, you're not there yet. But by April, I want to be. And I'm like, I want to hunt down that K2 Elite capacity. I think that would be amazing. But in the meantime, let's just, you know, smash it. Let's crush these goals.
Smash it, smash it. That would be awesome. The K2 Elite. Yeah, I've got massive way to go for it to get anywhere near my mindset to even think about logging into that, sit at that table.
Yeah, it's a big.
That's definitely.
Yeah.
It is a big table.
But
that will be obviously. I'd have to change around and have that big gallery and a few other things running with lots of other artists by that stage.
And I think that the growing the passive income online is something we can both sort of expand as well. You know, it's definitely, you know, the potential's there, and just dream big, dream big. You know,
you dream big.
I always love shoot for the moon, because the worst that can happen is you land amongst the stars. So I'm like, you know, dream.
That's a yes.
And let's just see where this ride takes us.
Yes, absolutely. Let's.
All right, mate. Great to talk to you. So I'll hit that stop recording now, and we can.